Hey guys, Hitman89 here. I hope you're doing great, and I don't know about you, but I love third-person games. So today, I'm gonna show you the best third-person games I recently played, out of the ones that came out in 2021 and 2022 obviously, because I'm not gonna show you old games that you've probably already played by now. So I hope you find this video useful, or at least entertaining, and if you do, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more top 10s and game reviews. Now let's get down to business, and we're starting off strong because we're gonna be looking at Elden Ring. Not just because it's my favorite game this year, but also because I haven't been this excited to play games since GTA San Andreas on PS2, and that was 18 years ago. You see, Elden Ring isn't just another Souls game, it's much more fun to play because it's got an open world now, which means if a boss fight is too hard for you, you could just explore another area, level up and come back. Speaking of exploration, what makes it enjoyable here is that it's always rewarding. There are tons of hidden dungeons, illusory walls and optional bosses, and what makes things even more nerve-wracking is that if you die twice in a row without getting your runes back, you lose them forever. The challenge and combat system is obviously still there, with a few additions like horseback fighting, stealth, and most importantly, being able to summon spirits to help you out. And believe me, if you've never played Dark Souls, you're gonna need all the help you can get, because the game doesn't tell you shit. There's no hand holding here, so you're on your own. All I'm saying is you're gonna be spending a lot of time on YouTube looking up guides and tutorials, and for me that's part of the experience. Now let's take a look at the second game you should play this year. Horizon Forbidden West's graphics are insanely good, and the good news is, with the latest update, performance mode looks practically the same as quality mode now, so you can enjoy exploring this huge open world, do a couple of side quests, and most importantly, you can figure out every machine's weakness so you can take them out easily. Cause if you don't and you just show up and start swinging or shooting, then you'll quickly realize how challenging Horizon Forbidden West is. By the way, a lot of people make it sound like this game is perfect, and it's not. For example, the platforming parts suck, especially climbing. I found it to be a chore, but at least there is a glider now, and don't worry, if you ever get stuck, Aloy will give you plenty of tips on what to do and where to go. That bitch never shuts up. On the bright side though, the combat system is definitely better now, and if you prefer melee like me, then you'll most likely enjoy Forbidden West way more than Zero Dawn. The facial animations are also much better, so whether you're on PS4 or PS5, Horizon Forbidden West is a must-have. Another game I think is a must-have is Sniper Elite 5. And I honestly didn't think I'd like it because I've only played the first Sniper Elite game on PS2 and then a little bit of the second one on PC, and then I basically moved on. But as soon as I played this one, I gotta say, it's not bad at all. I mean, the animations are rough around the edges, the lip sync job is average at best, oh, and split screen would have been great. Anyway, I usually love all that gory shit, but on this game, those X-ray kills are just an animation that plays, cause when you check out the corpses afterwards, they're pretty much intact. That being said, shooting people in the dick never gets old. You can obviously be as quiet as possible, rely on stealth takedowns and stay low, or you could turn into a one-man army and take on everyone. Keep in mind you'll most likely die like a piece of shit though. Oh, and you can shoot through certain objects and even through enemies. Getting double kills feels so satisfying. Plus, as you probably saw, and even though it doesn't look next gen, it's sharp, detailed and really good looking. Now the fourth game on my list is also good looking. The Quarry is an interactive horror game, at least that's how it describes itself, and it's basically like watching an interactive movie where you get some QTEs, which stands for Quick Time Events for the noobs out there, so that's when something scary happens. Otherwise, during exploration phases, it plays more like an adventure game where you just walk around and look for clues or items that may be useful. Oh, and if you want to touch the controller even less often, once you beat the game you unlock movie mode, which as the name suggests makes the gameplay itself. Don't worry, I'm almost done shitting on this game. Keep in mind during the first 2 chapters, the game will do its best to bore you to death, but if you manage to survive that, it gets real good. And that's when you'll find it hard to stop playing. You know, when you should go to bed cause you gotta wake up early for work tomorrow, but you end up playing a couple more chapters than you're supposed to. It's pretty much Until Dawn 2, that's how good it is. Now if you want a game where you do less watching and more playing, then you should check out Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut Edition. Cause if you ever wanted an open world game in Japan and you wanted to play as a samurai with good sword fighting mechanics, then you really need to get Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut Edition on PS5. It's got improved textures and better overall visual fidelity, it's got haptic feedback and adaptive triggers support as well. So even though it's not an insane upgrade over the PS4 version, it's actually pretty noticeable. But you still can't skip cutscenes on this game, which probably won't bother most of you, but it did bother me cause I don't always feel like watching cutscenes or listening to dialogues until the end. By the way, shout out to buygames.ps for always providing me with all the console games I need. They sell PlayStation and Xbox games for cheap and their link is in the description, so check them out. Now at number 6 we have an underrated game. When ELEX 2 first came out, it was buggy, it had clunky combat and horrendous performance, but now that it has received a few patches, well, it's still pretty much the same, with the exception of the newly added performance mode that targets 60 FPS, but it makes the game kinda blurry and the aliasing a little too noticeable, plus there are still pretty big frame rate dips, and like on every Piranha Bytes game, the beginning is pretty tough, until you actually level up a few times and figure it out. Crafting, mining, cooking, fighting, trading, and getting better gear feels so good. There is always something to do and the amount of freedom you have here is impressive. Oh, and the game's got unnecessarily aggressive dialogue options, so if you enjoy being a piece of shit, you're gonna love the dialogue here. Seriously though, even with all its issues, ELEX 2 still manages to be extremely fun to play, interesting, and if it wasn't good then I wouldn't have played it for over 50 hours and actually beat it. Make sure you get it for $30 or less though. Now at number 7 we have God of War, and this one is obviously for PC users since the game finally came out on PC in January, but this is also for those of you who have a PS4 or a PS5 and missed out on this masterpiece. So you'll obviously be beating the shit out of tons of enemies, but you'll also have some puzzles to solve, and even though the game is pretty linear, sometimes you'll be able to do a little bit of exploration and you'll most likely end up finding hidden chests and useful resources to upgrade your armor. The gameplay is great, the game is fun to play, and as you can see, the graphics are excellent, which is impressive considering we're looking at a 4-year-old game. That being said, there is a lack of variety in terms of enemy types, especially mini bosses. It gets kinda repetitive towards the end. Obviously, if you're watching this in November or later, get God of War Ragnarok instead. Good thing the 8th game is available on all platforms though. If you want to play a stealth game but you don't want to be some weak piece of shit that can be killed in one hit and therefore has to hide all the time, then you need to play Hitman 3. It's only got 6 levels though, which is not enough for most people, but each level is awesome and is designed to be replayed at least 10 times. And believe me, no matter how many times you revisit the location, you'll always end up discovering new ways to approach and take out your target. So you can play the game the way it's meant to be played by using disguises and staying unnoticed, or you could just massacre everyone and finish the level. Speaking of massacre, at number 9 we have SIFU, which is a beat 'em up game with extremely linear levels that can be beautiful at times. Now the gameplay is really good, but what makes this game unique is that you start at age 20 and every time you die, you can instantly get back into the fight, but you get older. And it keeps on going like that until you're 70. Then if you die one more time, it's basically game over. So apart from the whole concept, I like little things like the way they use the haptic feedback when there is loud music playing in a club. You can feel the beats in your hands, or how the skill tree is literally a tree that you can interact with to unlock skills. Oh, and they've added new difficulty options, so you can make the game even harder if you're a badass, or if you're a pussy like me, you can make it much easier. Anyway, last but certainly not least, we're gonna be looking at a game that didn't get the attention it deserves, at least in my opinion, and that's probably because Guardians of the Galaxy didn't get the actor's likeness, so you have to play as Ciro Immobile. In all seriousness though, the game is so good, I played most of it in fidelity mode, which only runs at 30 FPS. At least now there's a performance mode. Oh, and the game was added to Xbox Game Pass earlier this year, so if you're on PC or Xbox, you could just get Game Pass for a month, which is more than enough to beat the game, and you could also play some other ones and move on. The game is funny and the soundtrack is awesome, if you're an old fuck like me. Oh, and being able to use your teammates' special abilities in combat and also outside of combat in certain situations is a good idea. But the combat system doesn't really feel satisfying, so it's up to you. And that's gonna be it for the best third-person games you should play right now. I did my best to pick the best games out of the ones we got this year and last year, so I really hope you find this video useful. Don't forget to hit the like button if you did, and please subscribe if you're new to the channel. It's been Hitman89. See you guys very soon.